Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Dead Malls, your one-stop shop for any and all mall related, and welcome back. After my short absence, I'll tell you what, those abandoned malls, they're taking years off my life. But my flu is broken and I'm feeling well enough to bring you guys the next mall here on our Michigan expedition. Today, as we continue through the Detroit Metro, we head through a monsoon rainstorm to visit Sterling Heights Lakeside Mall. A Taubman beauty, and the only one of the four in the Metro that still retains its classic retro aesthetics, with those classic 70s postmodernism statues in the anchor courts, and the very iconic geometric brutalist designs. With this mall set to close for redevelopment this year, I took it as my mission to see it one last time, capture as much of it as I could, and see for myself the classic Taubman in its finale. Before we get started here, I'd like to congratulate our winner who was able to successfully guess the next mall. A very nice job elevating Metro Detroit. If you would like to have your chance at being next week's shoutout, stick around for the next challenge. Anyways, as we drive around the exterior here, and I get my camera absolutely soaked, let's begin. Let's tell the story, and let's see how the beautiful Lakeside Mall is doing as of July of 2022. I always just forget the sheer size of Taubman malls. So many times do I go to these small hometown malls, lots in Iowa and Illinois, and they're always these small one-level, maybe 2 or 3 anchor places. But Lakeside? 5 huge anchors, 1.5 million square feet of space, and just looking up at those towering ceilings and big box anchors from the outside, I knew I was in for a treat. As we get in here, try to count the amount of sweet retro aesthetics. Oh, and walled off stores, there's quite a few of those also. Classic dead mall wall of stores that no longer exist. They all gotta have them. As we get in here, your eyes will be pulled up to the ceilings, those towering, stark white geometric skylights, and the expansiveness of the hallways. It all feels so brutalist, so excessive, but I'll save that for the history. Lakeside Mall's story begins over 50 years ago in Sterling Heights, Michigan. By the mid-70s, Metro Detroit was blowing up. Contrary to the last episode set in the 50s, by the 1960s, downtown and most of the inner city was changing. White flight was pushing more and more of the city's original demographic out, and in turn, more and more retail had to be built alongside the miles of tract housing developments. One of these developments would be gargantuan, a planned sanctuary for the new residents, and a place for people to shop, eat, and entertain themselves under one roof. A mega mall that would completely define the postmodernist America of the late 70s. By 1973, a deal had been struck between Alfred Taubman and the Sears Mall construction firm Homart. The two would be partners in this mall project, with Taubman Centers designing the shopping complex and Homart building it. Soon planning would begin on the massive mall with confirmed anchors Sears, Hudson's, and JCPenney. Construction would begin almost immediately after that, with an opening date scheduled for early '76. People at the time often commented on the strange side of the mall, as housing developments in the area were still awfully scarce. So what you had were miles upon miles of cornfields and rolling prairies, and then in the distance, the superstructure of freshly laid brick and concrete. To go along with the mall and its lakeside theming, several housing developments were planned alongside two new man-made lakes, which bordered the mall's ovular parking lot. I just couldn't get enough of these planter-filled recessed seating areas. I don't do it often on camera here, but believe me, I sat on those cushioned couches for a long time, and I could have the whole day. As the storm battered the skylights above me, I relaxed knowing I was safe and tranquil in the cathedral-esque halls of the mall. Echoing muzak blared over the radio, bouncing off and reflecting several times through the ceilings and walled-off storefronts. Coming up, you'll see the best seating area in a mall, period. But first, we're off to visit the center court fountain and toss our 2 cents into Lakeside's grave. On March 2nd, 1976, Lakeside Mall would officially open its shiny new doors for business. Inside, shoppers were greeted to a modern world unlike any other. It's going to be hard for me to enunciate what it was like, but I'll try my best. Let's first start with the sheer size. The mall was sprawled out across 2 floors at 1.5 million square feet of space with 4 massive big box anchors. Sears, Hudson's, Crowley's, and JCPenney would all open, with a 5th under construction. Towering geometric ceilings dominated shoppers from above, in endless white corridors sprawling in several different directions. Throughout the mall, Marquette bulb lighting snaked around, following each skylight, creating a beautiful golden atmosphere each night. During the day, the dozens of skylights would light up the different courts, premiering the beautiful handcrafted sculptures outside of each anchor. At opening, residents of the area and the thousands that came to bask in the new mall were greeted to stores such as Musicland, Baker Shoes, Hot Sam, Harmony House, B. Dalton, Yummyland, Big Boys, Friendlies, Magic Pan, and so much more. Over 150 stores and services were the jewels upon the crown that was Lakeside. In the center court, a massive space-age elevator was surrounded by an eccentric fountain display that shot water through several series of jets. I mean, come on, look at this photo and tell me it doesn't look like something out of the Jetsons. Lakeside Mall was an incredible diamond of retail, a staple, an example of architectural ingenuity, and with the upscale posh Lord & Taylor opening in 1978 to complete the layout of 5 anchors, it may have been just a bit excessive in the scale sense, but this was still the golden age of malls, and Lakeside would only prosper further into the 80s as Michigan's largest mall. To any of my Sterling Heights residents, or just anyone from the area that remembers, what was this blue, red, and purple windowed storefront? And how long has it been sitting empty like this? On Google Maps and through an upcoming directory, I was made a parent and curious on the hunt for the local Cinnabon and its many delicious delicacies, and boy was I excited! Finally, a mall with an open Cinnabon! But first, the old Lord & Taylor. This wing is completely dead and without anyone, and you're just left with the many Lord & Taylor logos to remind you that you've made it, but your destination is no longer here. So if you've noticed something familiar about the skylights, something ever so similar to another very famous mall, and you just can't quite put your finger on it, I think I've got it for you. It might just be those mirrored lights in them, those octagonal silver classics. They were the very same lights that were installed in a near identical way at its cousin, Northridge Mall. There's not many photos of Lakeside Mall upon opening, but they have to have been there since the beginning, right? I find it ironic that these makeshift walls have been put up over the old storefronts because when all Taubman malls first opened, Lakeside included, the stores that were still being built while the mall was open would have these exact walls over them. So it's funny how it's almost like Lakeside has come full circle. Keep your eyes out because these walls are everywhere. In 1983, Toys R Us would open an adjacent lot to the mall as a new out parcel. That same year, the disconnected JCPenney Auto Center would close its doors for the final time. By 83, JCPenney had fully morphed itself into a clothing store, disposing of its appliances, hardware, guns, and outdoor services. Yeah, I know. I didn't know it either, but before 1983, JCPenney was a lot more like Sears in many ways. Anyways, throughout the 80s, the mall would reach its all-time peak. While the mall itself was still surrounded by miles of cornfields, suburban developments were pushing ever so closer, and the grand avenues that were built planning for thousands of cars each day were gradually getting to that stage. Inside the mall, tenant modernizations were occurring, new stores were opening, and by the mid-80s, it would be 100% occupied. It was also in the 80s that the residents would see the addition of a revolutionary and mythical attraction. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Lakeside Mall would get its very own Hydro Tube. For any of my longtime viewers, you might remember the name Hydro Tube, and that's because at another 80s mall I've covered in the past, they too had a Hydro Tube. For anyone unaware, Hydro Tube was a very short-lived 80s brand that built indoor water slides in malls across the US. Almost all of them only lasted a few years, but they were very unique. The Lakeside Hydro Tube, for example, snaked around dozens of stores from the second level to the first, splashing down into a big pool. There, shoppers can indulge in hot dog stands, saunas, and much more. Going forward with a full roster, 5 anchors, a brand new movie theater, and a Hydro Tube, Lakeside would only excel further into the 80s. Coming up right here outside the JCPenney is that amazing seating area I was talking about. Seriously, I could have sat here and chilled the whole day, or I could have taken a nap. It genuinely breaks my heart that none of this will exist in a few years. Also, for those of you enjoyers of the bulb lighting, don't worry, it comes back very soon. I'll leave you guys alone for just a little while. I'll leave you to the Echoing Courts, Beverly, and coming up here, the original Hudson store, with the classic silver sculpture out front. Also, keep your eyes peeled. I'm still on the lookout for that Cinnabon. It's gotta be here somewhere. By the late 80s, Homart was being dissolved. Taubman still had their 50% stake in the property, but a new partner was being sought out, and in 1988 they would find one. Rodamco, or now more popularly known as the Westfield Corporation, would swoop in. Throughout the entirety of the 90s, not much would happen. Business as usual. It was only in 1999 when big changes would come. First, the Crowley's chain would file for bankruptcy, closing their anchor in the mall. The space would quickly be taken over by Hudson's, who would move their men's department inside. Secondly, Taubman's last hurrah as part owners would have them build a brand new upper-level food court. Themed with stars, moons, and a massive carousel, this new food court would bring droves of new interested shoppers to the mall. Just a year later, at the turn of the century, Rodamco would buy the mall from Taubman, becoming the new 100% owners. Hudson's would become Marshall Field shortly after the sale, rebranding and putting up new signage on both their anchors. While Lakeside was in a prime retail spot serving shoppers of higher wealth and middle-class Americans, it was starting to feel the pressure from all around. Online shopping, new strip malls opening, and a slowly oversaturating retail market was pushing tenants out. It was only years later that the over-exuberant mall would reach a breaking point. here we have the 1999 food court. This feels more like the early 2000s in every way. Warm colors, fake wood, a patio style. Oh yeah, and everything being gone, including an amazing carousel, which I would love to see lit up and in operation one last time. Unfortunately, none of this will ever be filled with life again. Also, I'm not really sure what this little cordoned off eating area was. It's almost like a little restaurant was here, but at the same time there's no doors or counter, really anything, just tables and chairs and cabinets of artwork? 2006 would be a year of significant evolutions. Lakeside would see its Marshall Field's nameplates changed yet again as the parent Federated Department Stores bought out the Mays Company, rebranding every location to Macy's. Steve & Barry's would also open up in the mall, along with the short-lived MC Sports down by Sears. And while Lakeside gained a few short-lived tenants like these, they wouldn't last, and a new development was under construction nearby, a brand new shopping complex that would devastate Lakeside. In 2007, the mall at Partridge Creek would open just 2 miles away. This 700,000 square foot outdoor lifestyle center would open with free Wi-Fi, TV relaxation areas, a 40-foot fireplace, and pet-friendly areas. Stores such as H&M, Nordstrom, and Parisian would also open. It was also ironically developed by Taubman themselves, almost like Taubman was trying to kill the very mall they created and lost. Partridge Creek was everything a late 2000s suburban American could want, and almost immediately foot traffic would plummet at Lakeside. Tenants would move to the new mall, and Lakeside would ultimately see this as the beginning of the end. As we dive into the late 2000s, we head away from the final renaissance that was the early 2000s. After Marshall Fields became Macy's and the recession neared, Lakeside was on thin ice. I mean, think about it. It was built in a time when retail dominance was in excessive size, big box, and gargantuan courts to hold the thousands of people. Every store was big and there were hundreds, so many just selling the same thing. It's almost like Lakeside was the 70s version of the excessive retail waste we saw in the late 2000s. It was a planned sanctuary that was never planned to last. It doesn't even feel like a mall sometimes, more like a terminal at an airport or some kind of space station of the future. Taubman was a leader in the mall of the future scene back in the day, and honestly, it just feels so cool to experience the past walking through Lakeside. Because like I said, you could just feel that brutalist, postmodernistic excessiveness that they felt the need to capture. In Lakeside Mall, all pathways lead to the same empty destination. To combat the new mall, Lakeside would boast a brand new $3 million renovation in 2008. New signage, pedestrian access, and an improved exterior would all be an attempt to bring people back, but not much would change overall. And while Partridge Creek was awarded as a Class A retail property at nearly $600 per square foot, Lakeside would slowly keep diminishing through the recession. In 2017, GGP would default on loan payments, with the mall going into the hands of Jones Lang LaSalle. And just a year later, Toys R Us would close. By 2018, Lakeside was dying, and fast. Tenants were closing left and right, long stretches of vacancies were making themselves known, and in the food court, vendors were all closing up shop, with management walling off the spaces. Around this time, the carousel would be shut down, and the center court fountain would be turned off and replaced with carpet. On September 2nd, 2018, Sears would close their gates for the final time, with the big blue letters going dark. The loss of Sears really nailed into effect the severity of the mall's death spiral. The once largest anchor of the complex was gone, and in its wake was a massive black hole on the directory. I should try going into one of these quote-unquote Pepsi stores. I bet there's just walls of vending machines back there behind those doors, or maybe it's just an entrance into the backrooms level Pepsi hell. Either way, every mall has got at least one of these old stores turned into a wall of vending machines, and Lakeside is no different. After the loss of Sears, the city of Sterling Heights unveiled plans to completely redevelop the property, demolishing the mall and replacing it with dozens of apartments, outdoor retail, offices, and such. This planned redevelopment would be known as Lakeside. Original, right? Through 2019, dozens more tenants would close and in the process be walled off. It's actually just bizarre walking through some of these entry hallways, knowing they were lined with bustling storefronts and now they're just lined with cheap drywall. In June, it was announced Lord & Taylor would be leaving as the entire company was going bankrupt. The store would close in September, and management would abandon trying to hide the vast empty spans of the once vibrant mall, as you can look out across the grand Lord & Taylor court and see the geometric glass entrance of a once high-end retailer. Oh my god, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we've finally made it. After all my years, I'll finally get to experience a Cinnabon. Praise the Lord. And, oh, wait a minute. Why are all the lights off? Where are the chairs, the people, that amazing hot cinnamony smell? One day. Just before the devastating year of 2019 could end, it was announced that the mall had once again been sold, this time to Miami-based out-of-the-box ventures for $26 million, who themselves would confirm that the entire mall was in the works of redevelopment. Soon, more sketches and plans would be released for the Lakeside project, sealing the doom for the shopping center. Thankfully, the fountain would be saved and the carpet removed, so we could get one more glance at it in operation. And that leaves us where we are today. What does the future hold for Lakeside? Well, we know. Sadly, it's grim. A lot of the stores you still see open throughout this video will all be gone soon, with a lot of them already holding their closing sales. And at some point this year, the doors will be locked up for the final time. Demolition isn't supposed to start until next year, with construction of the Lakeside project to start in 2025. So if you're in the area, get to Lakeside soon, before it's gone forever. Also, by the time this episode comes out, the mall would have had its 47th birthday 9 days ago, so happy birthday, Lakeside. You may be on your deathbed, but happy birthday. Here's your slice of cake. This balloon, though, is clearly a bit of a party foul. Thank you all so much for watching tonight's episode. Lakeside Mall was one I'll never forget. It was a mall I thoroughly enjoyed covering and finding the history of. A mall that just blew me away in every sense, from the scale, to the retro aesthetics, to the beautiful fountain. Everything about Lakeside I loved, and I'm so glad I was able to see it once before it's gone. Like I said previously, if you're ever in the area, stop by Lakeside, support some of the local businesses, or just find yourself relaxing under the JCPenney escalator court in that hidden seating area. Godspeed, Lakeside. Thank you for having me. If you guys enjoy my demo content, consider subscribing so you miss out on future demo content, and head over to the Patreon to support me for a monthly demo Polaroid taken and signed by me. Next week, as we head north into the evening hours of day 2, we head into a small city, long left dead by the auto industry, to check out a mall home to the most beautiful center court fountains left in this day and age. Guess which mall we'll be at, and I'll shout you out in the next episode. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and until next time, have yourselves a lovely day, and peace out, guys. See you later.